Here's an intro tutorial on drawing a car. I noticed in the PSA City School projects that a number of you are putting a car in your scenes, or it's central to your subject matter. So I thought, we're gonna explore this much further later in the semester. But for those that are using a car, I thought I better give this little intro. So first image here is a car is considered a prop, much like the hammer that we had done last semester. So a plan view is in order for your design. So in this case, I have a top, front, and a side view. I could duplicate this on the left, the front view, onto the other side and create a back view. So it all depends on what views you're using and what you need for your layout, your environment, and if this car is being animated or it's part of the environment, however you're going to use it. But here's a very simple, basic car, and understanding your design is going to help you draw it in 3/4 and whatever angle or angles, depending on where your camera position is going to be, how it's going to work. So the better understanding, the more we're going to understand the vehicle. So study this, look at the top view compared to the side view and how that projects down over to the left and the front view. And notice how the tires tuck in under the fenders and that we have wheel wells here. And I've done a very blocky design. That can all be rounded, but it's always nice to block things in first, and then you can carve in some roundness to it if that's what you're after. But really want to take a look at the elements that make up a car. And from things I noticed, it's making sure that your tires are under the fenders and that you have space in between, that you can have an opening door that is in relation to the window of the car. And then whatever accessories you need that you can think of. I have side mirrors, have a rear view mirror inside. Depends if you're going to be showing interior through the windows or having them kind of tinted opaque. I've got headlights, I got blinker lights, I've got a front grille, and, like old style bumpers, not like all blended in like it is in most cars today. So again, this can be updated and changed, but I want to address what it is that we're looking at. So remember when you're designing the car that it's original, and much like the sample here, that it's a cartoon, which is exaggeration. So play with the proportions and make it fun, make it fit in with the style and the look. Much like, how the Hawk's supposed to fit in, or everything's kind of based around his sort of style and look. We've been working on your character to have that cartoony and exaggerated look. Same with the vehicle. If you have a vehicle in your scene, play with it and push those proportions and have some fun with it. So here's some drawing tips for drawing a vehicle. So think and build with 3D forms. So here's the body of the car, and think of a separate 3D form, square form, and place that on top. And work them together. So draw through. So that the idea here is you're drawing through so you can see what's sort of happening on the other side of this and kind of build that up. Step 3, carve into the forms. So where we had that solid block up top, which is the windows, and if you drew through, now you can kind of hollow that out and figure out where windows are. So just to get that realistic, not realistic, believable, but again, cartoon, have fun with it. On the body, those wheel wells under the fenders. And again, think of lines here where that door is open. Think of functionality with your design. So now, again, we're carving into that shape. If we take a look here, drawing through again, it's taking those cylinders and figure out where those tires would fit in to kind of complete that illusion. So it's, again, you can see how much is covered by the car fenders themselves and how much you would see. So it's making sure those wheels are set in, and that's why I've got some open wheel wells here with some structure, some body panels, just to give it some believability. So not to use the word realistic, because again, we want to be cartoon, want to have fun with this, but we want it to look structurally believable. So only after you've blocked everything in, played with proportions, then get into details and start dressing it up. So here, see through the window, so I'm doing seats and steering wheel and trying to overlap things, adding the details of rear view mirrors and grille and headlights, and giving a little tread to the tires. And here's those lines for the door, leaving that structurally so it makes sense that that could open and a character can get in. And then a door handle, all the little bits. And again, you can use some photos for inspiration, but make sure you're cartooning, simplifying and exaggerating. And playing with perspective. So try some different angles depending on your environment and how you're looking at this. Here's a very low angle, so we're looking up at a lot of the vehicle. Here, that horizon's way low. So make sure that your perspective is working with the horizon line of your environment and that things are working appropriately. So here's a higher angle. This is probably more what you'd be going for. But yeah, check where that car sits within your environment and how that perspective affects it. Here's another attempt at that same vehicle, pushing the proportions even more, making that glass, this top part, even bigger. And that's because, in this case, I wanted it to work with the character that it was designed for. In this case, I got a great big guy here. So even though, he just fits inside, I want to make sure that he does fit height-wise. And even then, he still doesn't quite fit, so I gave it a little sunroof so his head can kind of peek out the top so it can quite fit. But you can see drawing through. And all the elements here, you can see the blue draw through. The character I did in red just to keep him separate out from the rest of the vehicle design. So you can see the blue, you can see my perspective lines and the rough. Please be working that way. You can see on my tires I drew through so I can understand them. Here, I kind of bent these tires in because of the weight of this big character. I thought that would compress the suspension. So all these sort of things you should think of. It certainly make things more believable. Even though they're very cartoony and exaggerated and having fun with it, you still want it to be functional and make sense to the viewer. So again, having those wheels inset and leaving some body work and some inset and wheel wells there to make that believable as well. When it comes to the tires, using that same trick, the circle, finding the block that fits with the car, and drawing the cylinder. And here with some tread and with the wheels separate from the tire, again, believability and making that work. So taking this flat line here with those references, working it up to the block, and then extrude into this inwards for a cylinder and how it fits in. Okay, so that's it for vehicle in this one. It's an intro. We're going to play with that once all our designs are done for the film.